Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank God for the wake up. Thank God for the wake up. Thank God for the wake up. How's it going? You're tapped in right now to another episode of Talking Cancer, My Journey, My Way. I'm your guy, Lewis, Uncle Lou, whatever. Another great day. May gray is in the air. Just, figuring things out. As I go along, you guys are coming along on the journey with me. Had a good breakfast this morning. Little oatmeal, eggs, avocado toast. Not too bad. Supplements. Just another one of those days. But if you tuned into yesterday's episode, I was looking for any ideas, suggestions, some help, per se, on my recent encounter or finding with UCSD. Now, I want to go ahead and go back to that subject for the simple fact that I was going to give them a couple days to get back in contact with me. Okay, cool. Well, I was thinking about either today or tomorrow to reach out to them. Well, yesterday afternoon, they reached back out to me. Wow. I was like, okay. But they reached back out to me. They didn't call me. And they sent me a message through my chart. Okay. So let me tell you, before I get into the message, let me kind of tell you what I've noticed so far about UCSD and Sharp. Although I feel like I like UCSD a lot better, just because of their bedside manners, things like that. They're more polite, delivering you harsh news. They give you BS on grandma's old china dishes. But one of the things that I've noticed so far about them is that, let's say I go to the doctor with Sharp. They want you to come back, or they want you to set an appointment with another doctor or whatever. They'll give you the information. Hey, we need for you to call this, we need for you to call this doctor, blah, 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 blah. Here's the number, and actually give you a card or something with the people that they need you to call to set up an appointment with a different doctor, so on and so forth. And they say, yeah, call these people, set up an appointment so you can go ahead and see them, blah, blah, blah. But call them tomorrow, because we have to generate the ticket, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Well, 10 times out of 10, before I even have a chance to call them with that little piece of paper they gave me with the phone number and everything, before I even had a chance to call them, they're calling me to set up the appointment. So not only do they give me a piece of paper to walk out the office with the number of the people that I need to call to set up an appointment, but they also put it in their, what is called Follow My Health through Sharp. Right? They put that information, hey, call these people, set up an appointment with the number and everything like that. And then on top of that, they actually call me first to set up an appointment. They have like this 3 steps, They give it to you. They also give it to you through their chart. And then they turn around and actually call you first. That's pretty impressive. Because if you're a guy like me, I'd be like, okay, I'll call them in a day or two, But I'll call them, but they actually beat me to the punch. Now, let's get to UCSD. And although they have the better bedside manners so far that I've seen, their protocol is really like, I'm going to tell you. I might tell you because I don't even remember them telling me, but that goes on to the story that I'm about to tell you. They might tell you, hey, I need for you to call these people to set up an appointment, blah, 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 blah. Maybe they didn't. Again, I'll tell that story in a second. But then they expect you to, and then they send it to your My Chart, and that's it. They didn't give me anything to walk out the door with the number to call. They just put it on the My Chart, blah, and expect you to read it. You know, a guy like me probably won't read it because it's very rare that I go to the hospital or to the doctor or anything like that. So it's really, there hasn't been any need for me to to do that. You know what I mean? To be so looking at my chart every whatever. There's never been an urgency until now. You know. So, and then they never call me to set up an appointment. You know what I mean? So, let me get back into the story. UCSD finally sent me a message through My Chart yesterday. And the My Chart stated that they did send me a message back in March of 2020. And I definitely want to say my bad because I thought that they never reached out to me. And they did. And I actually opened up the My Chart message. Okay. Now, this is where it kind of gets tricky. Now, I told you I've never had a history of any issues medically. Going to the doctor's never been my thing. I'm raised, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. I'm raised, you feel good, look good. What's the point of going to the doctor? Health was not an emphasis in my family. I've stated this numerous of times, and it wasn't a thought of mine. So when I went in originally and I had the stomach pains, I had the belching and stuff like that, I sent in a stool sample. The doctor gave me some medicine, told me it's H. pylori. Stool sample came back for positive for H. pylori. Cancer was not on my radar. The focus of the conversation between the doctor and I was H. pylori. That's it. That's all. No mention of cancer, the scare of cancer, the possibility of cancer, the possibility of there's something a more underlining problem that, you know what I mean? Like, there was no sense of urgency. Okay? So I'm here and I'm doing my thing. And so I'm reading this message. And so after this message that the doctor sent me, okay, H. pylori, it says all this stuff. And then you ever read like a contract from like the car dealership or something like that, and there's always like this fine print. Well, there's this part towards the end. It's not fine print. I could have read it, you know. But I probably just paid it no mind because it said, you know, call this number to set up for colonoscopy. Again, the focus of me and the doctor's conversation was H. pylori. There was no urgency to the blood found in my stool. No follow-up, no nothing. So the person that got back to me yesterday put in parentheses, set up a colonoscopy. See, focus on this last part of the long message that was sent to me by the doc about my H. pylori. Okay. And so I read it. I was like, okay, well, the whole focus of his conversation was H. pylori. Da da da. Okay. By the way, set up a colonoscopy to follow up to see if the H. pylori was eradicated. That's what he said. We want to make sure that the H. pylori is eradicated. Okay. So I actually responded back to the doctor. And I said, is this contagious? Because I'm worried about, can this be passed on to my wife, to my kids, whatever? You know what I mean? And he responded back to me. Well, usually pass through food or whatever, but if they're not showing any signs of anything, don't need to worry about it. He returns the sentiment of the H. pylori. He returns the conversation. It's like playing tennis. You play tennis, you just play tennis. You didn't know that a baseball was going to be thrown in the mix. You're playing with a tennis ball, tennis racket. Nobody told you that it was going to throw a baseball. You know what I mean? Hey, is it my fault that I didn't investigate more? Is it my fault that I don't have much of history with health and health issues and health concerns, that I should have been worried about what the doctor was saying? Like, hey, he's focused on H. pylori. Like, okay, he wants to do a colonoscopy because he wants to see if the H. pylori is gone. That's all I'm thinking. Nowhere in my conversation with this guy was there an inkling of possible cancer. I mean, don't you think that if I would have even had a thought of possibly having colon cancer, colorectal cancer, whatever you want to call it, that I would have followed up on that? If I would have known that there was any remote possibility of having cancer, I would have called, followed up, set up an appointment for sure. I mean, I would have been 15 months ahead of the game the first time around. You know what I mean? And I could see where this person that messaged me, she was trying to go. She's trying to say, we notified you. I beg to differ. Yeah, you put it in my chart, but seriously, for a person that is not really big on healthcare to begin with, you know, I say these things, you know what I mean, because I'm here to, I know there's got to be people out there that's in my shoes. Other people that just let their health just kind of, ain't no need to go pay that, I feel fine. It's just a cold. I don't need to go pay that copay. I don't need to go, that's just extra money. I need that money. Times is hard. And we let things go and let things go and let things go. And things become normal that way. I know I'm not the only person out in this world that this has been the case. So like I said, this person that got back to me, I could see what she's trying to do. I could see she's trying to focus on, hey, you were notified, get a colonoscopy. But what they failed to realize is that was all the focus. The only focus of the conversation was H. pylori. So when they said colonoscopy, I wasn't thinking about no cancer, because the focus of the conversation was H. pylori. You know what I mean? That's like sitting there talking about a basketball game and talking about all this stuff, what the Lakers could have did to beat the Nuggets, and you know what I mean, so on and so forth, whatever. You're talking for hours about basketball. And then somebody and then in the middle of that conversation you'd be like, Manny Machado's out with the broken hand. You're like, what? Totally different subject. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, like, and so if it did frustrate me a little bit, because I felt like they were trying to cover some shit up. So now the conversation gets passed on to their director, their regional director, I believe. So now what's going to happen? I'm just being honest. That's all I could do. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the doctor and you're not putting cancer on my radar, why would I even bother even thinking about cancer? One, I didn't know cancer even ran in my family like that. I come from a broken homes, shit like that. I mean, like, all this shit ain't even on my radar. So yeah, I was a little frustrated yesterday because I could see the I could see the cover up just like right in front of my eyes. Like, it's right in my face, it's blatant. Now, what do? Do I continue conversation with them? Do I try to talk to a lawyer? Because every lawyer that I've talked to so far is talking about statutes and shit. So this becomes a frustrating part, because the only thing I want is to be here for my family. And I could have had 15 months prior notice to my original thing to be ahead of the game. All you had to do was mention it. It's very possible that you could have cancer. There's blood in your stool. It's very possible. You know what I mean? You don't sit there and we the H. pylori. Yeah. Let's see if the H. pylori is eradicated. You know what I mean? Schedule a second follow up. I never even heard from anybody for a follow up. Like, how bad do you want your patients, or do you want your patients to want you? You know what I mean? Because any doctor that I've ever been to, and very few in between, they've always called me and told me, hey, Lewis, you still haven't set your... Even my dentist right now. I mean, I can't even afford to go see my dentist at this point. You know what I mean? Because I'm worried about other shit. But they're calling me on the regular. Lewis, you need to schedule your appointment. Lewis, you need to schedule your appointment. You're overdue on your appointment. I get it. They hounding me. UCSD won't pick up a phone for shit. The nurses, people at the front desk or whatever, they ain't calling you for nothing to remind you about shit. But their bedside manners are great. And I do hear a lot of good things about their care, as far as things like that. And at the same time, this time around, now visiting and doing regular things with the doctor, now I'm constantly looking at my chart. I'm constantly looking at my test results now, because now it's so normal for me. I know that my life is at stake here. But if there was a possibility that I had cancer back in 2020, my life was at stake then. Don't you find it only fitting to have mentioned that during our visit? Don't you think that you should have mentioned that in your what you call it? Your message to me on my chart? Like, Lewis, I understand, we have H. pylori, we want to make sure that's eradicated, but you can have more serious problems. You definitely need to come in and schedule, another appointment, because you could possibly have cancer. Anyways, there's some serious shit going on. But I'm out. I'm done for the day. This is Uncle Lou, Lewis, Lou, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me Collect. Saying peace, love, one.